Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Aurorum Kingmaker. I think this is session like 6 or something. 6, 7,
Head in the void.
Seven.
7. Woo! Yeah, session 7. There we go.
I'm wearing a black t-shirt, so I'm a head in the void.
Oh, that's funny. I'm wearing a green T-shirt, so I'm just a little void-like. There you go. It's funny because you wear blue and I. Yeah, anyways. Hi.
Yeah.
How's everybody doing? How you been? Missed you guys. By you guys, I really just mean Tesh. The other two I saw last week, so you know.
I'm tired but here and good, sort of. You know the thing? Stubbed my foot real bad.
Oh yeah, that's right. I saw that picture and I was like, "Ew, dude."
Yeah. It's a lot. Like I took a picture of it thinking it was just like the usual stubbed toenail and the blood was coming from the toenail. I didn't see any of the other stuff until I looked at the picture on my computer. And I'm like, oh, I should probably wrap that up.
He was like, "But before I wrap that up, let's totally post it for everybody else to see."
I posted it before I realized how bad it was.
Yeah, that's not cool. All right, so anyways, welcome everybody. Welcome back to Aurorum Kingmaker. In case we all don't remember, 2 sessions ago, the party jumped into a huge combat that was abruptly ended because of losing power. But last session, they finished that combat and leveled up. I should say everybody leveled up except for Tesh.
Here we go.
Tesh has to roll us health points. Not that it's a factor going into this session at all or anything like that.
No, and I have great track record for rolling hit points. If anyone has seen other games I'm in.
Listen, Tesh,
No.
Tesh, if it makes you feel any better, I think Neil rolled a 1, the
I did
lowest,
actually do that.
and Jake rolled the highest. So it just shows that
Health now. How the fuck did that happen?
because he's amazing. Try to be amazing, man.
So what do I roll?
It says there's a hit die button. Where are you?
Oh, the hit points.
Yep, and you're clicking on Valorant level 2, I believe. Where's the?
Oh, no. Almost won.
Yeah, maybe it is a hit points button. I think that works. Yeah.
Right, I'm still the lowest health.
Oh, jeez, that's awesome.
Oh, I'm gonna die.
Yep, that makes me happy. Yep, that makes me happy. Yep.
Welcome to my life of rolling hit dice. I have rolled above a 2 on hit dice once.
That's awesome. All right, Val. So you're. I don't know if you actually didn't get to notice the picture that we used for your token and whatnot last time.
Yeah, I was looking at it. It's awesome.
Okay,
I
good,
really
good,
like
good,
it.
good. I had 2 different choices, and one of them seemed a little bit older and a little bit more serious, which is what I went with, and then one was a little bit younger and a little bit more goofy. And I was like,
Yeah, no, I like that. And it's like it's cut off the sword, which is the only part I would have been like.
What
eh.
sword? What? That's not a sword.
Yeah.
It's
And
totally a
just-
wand or something.
Just
Yeah,
to
yeah.
confirm that this artwork has all been referenced somewhere.
No, because you can't see it.
This guy's like,
You can't see it. It's for us.
What about we have
oh,
a
they
battle
can't
map?
see it. Oh, okay.
Yeah. All right. So what were you saying, Tush?
I was about to say, what about when we have a battle map?
You don't have to worry about that. We never have battle maps ever.
You lazy shit. I like battle maps.
Actually, didn't we just use the battle? Oh no, that's right. We do have a battle map. We just haven't used it yet for whatever reason. Let's move forward. So Tesh, you get your character all leveled up. Last session, you guys had met a young gentleman who is kind, considerate, caring, attempting to be helpful, but unfortunately, he met this horribly rude and crude, aggressive asshole of a character who punched him in the
Basically,
face.
I met Elliot.
Yeah, I agree. And poor Elliot had to deal with you being violent because you just don't know how to keep your emotions in check. I mean, you were a Sith. You're a Sith. That's just what it comes down to. Elliot had to run off and cry because you had been really mean to him and punched him in the face a couple times. And now he's going to die because of you. And now he's going to die because of you. You guys had found where the horse had been meddled with on the road. Got quiet and tracked it for as best as you can, trickling it through the woods. There you saw several people hiding inside of the woods. There were a couple of people sitting around, talking, a nearby guard, etc., etc., etc. And it was one of those, I believe, one had snuck up and crouched down, and you guys could see where one was fixated on. And then you had behind him was Rayrin had quietly creeped up it made like a little bit of a sound, like a little crunch, which didn't really attract the guards. The guards kind of like lazily looked in that direction because they heard something, like you instinctively do when you hear a rustling inside the bushes. But didn't really alert them. And then when they look in that direction, they hear like a huge snap of a branch, and oh shit, and see Valorant just standing there like,
What the fuck?
well, your stealth check was absolutely atrocious. I have to scroll away up.
I love how I was catching up on the episode, and I apparently got to the point where shit hit the fan, and just didn't get far enough to realize shit hit the fan.
Yeah, yep, exactly. So you rolled an 8 on your stealth check. Now, everybody else did already roll their initiative. One in Rayren. We did not roll your initiative as much as I wanted to. I rolled a 7, but they told me it doesn't count because they want you to do it.
Down. I said, a wand, but this is too much.
Oh yeah, you used up my magic wand.
What? No, totally. What?
Yeah, no, it now says 0 charges. I see that. I noticed that. Also, can I just point out, last time you're like, oh, he doesn't have any spells check. Those are the ones he's got prepared. Sorcerers don't have prepared spells. That was the spells I'd used, so I still had 2 spells.
Yep, I'm a dummy, that's all. I was like, I don't think he has any. Well, the how many you had used, I was like, I don't know that part. I'm not sure. Let's just assume he has 9.
I mark them off as prepared when I use them, so I can know how many I've used.
Oh.
I don't know.
It's like a how many left counter for you.
Exactly, yeah.
Gotcha. Completely understands. All right, and then throwing the other guys into initiative for ourselves. We have this guy right here is with a bump. This guy right here with their. Bump.
So, are these guys going to be instantly hostile to me? What's the situation exactly? They were guards, you said.
Well, standing. It's funny that actually all rolled perfectly in order for us. So you guys are in the middle of the woods. Just to re-describe the scene. You guys are all walking through the woods, making your way through, trying to find them. When you found them, you see everybody's wearing similar garb. You know what I mean? Similar garb, not exactly the same, but definitely looks like they're having probably part of the same like troop or whatever it is. Very likely a group of bandits that are identifying themselves so that they don't accidentally shoot each other in the middle of like a fight or holding somebody up or whatever it is. Because everybody's wearing like grays and greens and browns, and they come across people wearing similar colors, they might kill each other. So they're wearing some like light red colors and stuff like that. Anyways, you guys had snuck up. One, you had gotten there, and you were kind of preparing your assault, your approach, your so on and so forth, contemplating it. When all of a sudden, Rayrin caught their attention, and Valrin, well, got them moving. You actually have the initiative, and you're the closest. I believe you're about, while still inside the thicket of woods, about 20 feet from the closest one. About half of that is rough terrain, the last little bit, where there's like a little bit of patch of woods. So it's about 30 feet of movement if you wanted to engage in melee with the closest peoples to yourself. And as a reminder, where, what's his name is? Let me look at his name. He's bad at names. Elliot is kind of draped over the horse. And the horse is tethered. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, so Valorant kind of brought attention our way and they've noticed this. So I'm kind of kneeling down and I'm just going to cast Shield of Faith.
Sure.
Okay,
so when you were kneeling there before him, they definitely noticed Val. There's no way they couldn't. And they maybe even noticed of Ray as well. They actually hadn't originally noticed you, but then when you cast Shield of Faith, they do now.
Okay, and I'm also going to swift action Protection Judgment.
That's a huge AC boost, okay.
Okay, and then I am going to draw my axe, and then I'm going to stand up and walk forward to the group.
Mm-hmm.
And as I walk forward, I say, so you found our escapee.
Roll a bluff check on that one. So they immediately were already kind of springing into action, but because of like just the way you rolled incredibly well on initiative, is just as they're springing into action because they had noticed Val. So somebody's still drawing their sword from their sheath and everything. You immediately start casting a spell. Other people are grabbing out their crossbow. They're starting to take the first 2-3 steps into motion when you stand up. Everybody's starting to begin to like their line up and getting to their stances as you step through, saying your words. So it's like they're not even fully protecting, guarding themselves and whatnot as you can walking through saying your words. And it's literally people kind of like slow down for a second. They don't stop their preparations. The sword is getting comfortably into their hands. Their legs are falling comfortably to the battle stances. But there's like a pause, like a break in their instinctive thought, whereas they look at one another and somebody's just like, "What?"
You found our escapee. We had him back in the town. He managed to steal the horse and get away.
So
and I point and say, "See, like I pointed his face where the mark is.
Yep.
I've claimed him."
They look you over, trying to discern, like, because you said mark him, trying to like look you over and see if you're somebody of significance. A different person would be like, "Who are you then?"
I just look at them and say, "I am one, and he is mine."
Asshole! Look at him. Look at him.
So out of context, that's funny. So you say, "I am one, and he is mine." They think for a couple of moments, kind of like look at each other, and you can see like two of them in back, kind of like wave to each other to like lean in and have a little whispered conversation. What are the other two of you doing while they're starting to have a conversation?
Can I prestidigitation to make one's eyes glow a little bit red? Like just a little bit glinting in the dark.
One is knocked unconscious, slumped over a horse with a brand.
He said one.
Oh, one! Sorry. I was thinking of Elliot.
Same number of syllables, my dude. Like.
1 minute I'm talking, next minute Daelric's got me on the back of a horse unconscious.
One's eyes sort of do that sort of glinting in the dark that like make him look a little bit more intimidating, but not obviously magical.
Raren would step forward with hands out. Obviously, finding our horse thief was a good deed. Perhaps a little bit of silver would help smooth things over, so we can take him back to town.
You roll me a diplomacy. Tesh, yes, you can do that. More or less, kind of like making him seem a smidge more intimidating.
Nice. Fantastic.
Oh, fucking goddamn it!
So more or less, what it is as you as you go walking out there saying your words, people just ignore you. Like, flat out, they just ignore you. It's not that they aren't impressed; they just don't care what you're saying. And so they're having a conversation amongst themselves for a couple of for about a solid minute, just shy of, when finally one of them says, "All right, we'll give him back to you, so long as you can prove that you are who you say you are. Not that your name is one. Don't care about that, but that this is your prisoner."
Okay, sweet. So I'm gonna approach them and go, "Okay, come here," and then I'm gonna reach forward to see if one of them will let me, I don't know, touch their hand or something like that.
Sure. It's literally one of those, like, you reach out your hands to shake theirs, and then you, like, turn and...
Yeah, and then I'm going to try and brand them.
Sure. I forget, do I make a save?
Yep, it's Fortitude 13.
The poor dude's like, oh, fuck.
I rolled a 9, so...
He's like, I asked you to prove it, you dick! Why did you do that?
He also takes 1 point of damage, so...
Yeah, well, it's like bubbling and searing and whatnot on the back of his hand, and it hurts. All right, your point was made. Starts rubbing the back of his hand.
Face, did you? What happened was Valorant when he went, fuck, as he fell and hit his head on a rock and forgot most of what happened.
He starts rubbing the back of his hand because, it's burning on him. And he's like, point was made. Does it go away?
Do you want it to?
What do you think?
Raren's in the background nodding quietly.
I think you can make it go away immediately if you wanted to. If you just pop it into, you did. Is dismissible? It does not say that. Nope, not dismissible.
I wouldn't have dismissed it anyway. So I say,
I don't think you can
do you
dismiss
guys-
it.
I don't think I can either.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. You just fucking...
So, yeah, I just look at them and I say, what are you guys, slavers?
What? No, absolutely not. And somebody's like, "Hey, watch your mouth." It's one of the other ones from the side. It's like, no, we're a mercenary group that keeps the area kind of quiet.
You've got a very threatening prisoner there.
Well, he was riding around with a brand on his face. We assumed that he had done something wrong, so we caught him up. He tried shouting about I presume you, saying some pretty unkindly things.
Can I sense motive when they said they weren't slavers?
Go right ahead, sir.
Thanks.
Okay. You honestly, you don't think that they're lying. He says, like I said, he said presumably about you saying some unkindly things. He was heading to Hardglen.
Where are you guys headed?
Nowhere. We're patrolling. There's good coin to be had by those that are willing to keep the area quiet.
If someone was looking for work, where would one find themselves?
Depends. You looking for a similar line of work?
Nods.
Says, first you find yourself in Hardglen, and then he points to a log off to the side. Then likely that's where your ass is sitting.
Okay, so will you return him?
We'll be about. You'll find us. One, right?
No, yeah. Is he free for us to take?
Oh, yeah, no, you proved yourself. I mean, perhaps a little bit too zealously, but I won't complain considering I know what you're doing in these parts.
Thank you.
I presume this is 2 and 3?
I look at them and I say, definitely not.
It's actually this
echoes the sentiment. Definitely not.
there's a combination of confusion and laughter amongst the different people in the group here, and then you guys are actually able to go over, gather the horse, and then leave. It didn't need to be a fight. Shucks! I was hoping somebody dumb and impulsive like Neil would have gone first, so there actually could have been bloodshed over nothing. So
So rude.
you guys.
I'd like to point out, for a mercenary company that's operating within the bounds of the law, dragging your criminal off into the woods is pretty suspect.
Well,
Like, which one of their brains was like, oh, we've got the boy, but let's not keep him on the road, where we're gonna have to keep him if we want to take him to anywhere to lock him up. Let's take him into the woods.
You're welcome to ask them about it,
That boy has a 7 int.
or wisdom. Do you want to ask them about it, Neil? It's an in-game question.
I'm gonna hop on the horse.
Let's not. Let's just move.
Okay.
Out of interest,
Oh,
Why is
fuck.
why is it you're making camp here, of all places? It seems to me that you'd be better keeping the criminal on the road.
Oh, well, this is one of our several camps that we have around the area, where we are able to keep close tabs on the road. Usually scouts will look about and then send word back, and we move in a greater force to handle whatever situation we come across. So this is one of our camps. Are you talking about this boy right here? We ain't questioned him yet.
May I ask, if we head this way again, perhaps we could know the location of some of your camps. A safe night's rest is...
You're not one of the company yet. I'm willing to believe what you're saying because you've more than proved that you weren't lying. But
No, that's fine. I understand they're your camps. It's your prerogative to keep them safe.
well, good luck out there, boys.
That will fade. Don't worry. It will.
I'm counting on it. And you guys kind of go walking off into the back onto the trail, and I imagine back to Hardglen.
Yeah, I'm gonna ride the horse.
Yep. You had said that you're mounted onto the horse, so you have him like slumped over in front of you. You know what I mean? He's kind of like using your thigh as his pillow. No. So you guys are riding off. No,
It's the anime trope. The head pillow.
So you get
that wake up would be hilarious.
So you guys make your way back to Hardglen. It is still, if I remember correctly, where we had stopped. Let me actually just look at my map real quick. I don't know why I keep moving away from that image. So if I remember, you had stopped here. So you still have a better part of a day to get the rest of the way to Hardglen. So along that trek, he will wake up of his own volition if you guys don't use magics or whatever to wake him up prior to that. So he eventually does come to conscious. What's up?
Rerin would probably have. He's got a wound on his head, right?
Yeah. He definitely has like a smash on the side of his head. You know,
Would have cleaned it and dressed it.
the horse was also injured. There was a gash on the horse's hind leg. But it
Definitely clean and dress that.
yeah, but
It's more expensive than Elliot.
well, it looks like what I was saying is it looks like they had already tended to it, but the person that tended to it was not very good. So you just kind of like did a better job with it. You know what I mean? So. And you can tell by the smash on the side of the head, it was very likely done with like a mace or something like that, something that could kill somebody, but they had clipped him.
Oh.
So eventually when he comes to, because you guys don't do it magically, eventually it comes to, it's like a few hours later, and he kind of comes to and he's like, and there's a moment where as he's coming to, because his body just starts like moving instead of like against the horse, he actually starts to slide to fall off the horse. Do you catch him at all or just let him drop?
I would grab him.
Okay. So it's literally as he's sliding to fall, you kind of like grab him by like, you know, the seat of his pants and like hoist him back on. And do you help him like sit up or what do you do?
No, I kind of just like probably pull him back on. I wouldn't sit him up. I'd just pull him back so he's slumped over still.
Yeah. So he finally starts to come to, and it takes like a solid minute of him coming to consciousness and groaning, and you can only imagine the amount of pain he's in. Explosive pain in his head, having lost some blood, the jagged motion of being on a horse and slumped over it. I mean, if you sleep on a couch, it hurts, let alone that. You know what I mean? So so when he finally starts to like come to, and he's taking in where he is through like one eye is still shut, kind of like swollen shut from the side of that being the side where the mace had hit him. He has the other one like half opened. He's trying to like blinking and looking around, trying to take in the sights and seeing you guys there. Do you bring the horse to stop, or do you keep on trotting?
Keep going.
Okay. You saying anything to him, or am I going to go first? Sorry.
Does he go to talk?
He will after a minute or two.
Okay, well, as he goes to talk, I'm just going to push my finger to his lips and say, shh.
He's going to actively try to slide.
Roll a sense motive.
He's going to actively slide backwards off of the horse to land on his feet. So he's going to like try to dismount the horse sliding off. Let me just make a check right here. It's going to be with because oh, I rolled a natty 1. I was rolling with a -2, so I literally got a -1 on my roll. So he, for his acrobatics, as he slumps off the horse, he literally slumps, lands in a way that twists his ankle and his knee, and then just like flops backwards and smashes like his shoulders and his head, and he's like, and then like turns to the side and like curls fetal for like another like 15 seconds, like rubbing his neck before he can kind of like knees, elbows position, and can slowly start sitting himself somewhat up, not even quite sitting yet. You know what I mean? We've all been there before after a long night of drinking. And he's just more or less trying to focus on his breathing and the aches in his body. This is going to go on for a couple minutes. I don't know if you guys stop to watch or if you engage. Please feel free to jump in.
I'd breed the horse and probably about 20 feet and then stop it and turn it around.
Okay. After like
watching, arms crossed.
After a couple of minutes of just trying to get the world to stop spinning and every part of his body aching, he eventually is able to pick his head up off the ground enough. You know, there's dirt in his hair, blood matted in the side of his hair and stuff like that. His clothes are now looking dirty and somewhat ruins from the fall of the horse and everything else. That's
why you bandage the wound before he gets it all day.
Oh,
the it's like, oh, you're filthy. Let's just clean that up
Yeah.
before you look at me. I don't want no. So so,
wow.
so the person that was very well put together, well dressed, and well spoken beforehand is now just like this mangled mess on the ground. And it finally picks his head up enough that he can kind of like start taking in the sight. Again, one eye kind of swollen shut a bit, the other one half open, takes in where everybody is. And he finally straightens his back. And then with a lot of effort and certainly a stumble at some point in time, he stands up again. And his standing up eventually like stumbles to the side. There's no tree immediately around for him to lean on. So he's kind of like standing there, slump-shouldered and swaying a little bit. And after like a cough or two, because he starts to speak, he's like, what? Where?
We're on the road to Hardglen. Some bandits picked you up. You're safe now.
He looks at you, kind of like reading you for a long period of time. Maybe would have been quicker if he wasn't so messed up. And then he says, am I?
One says, we met sooner than expected. I expected to find you in the city, but lucky for you, we found you earlier.
Raren's gonna step forward and put his arm round his shoulder and start the movement again. Start us walking and say, I'm sure you'd have fought them off if I hadn't punched your lights out last night.
He tries to chuckle, but it turns into a groaning wince of pain and like almost doubles him over, but luckily you're there holding him so he doesn't actually collapse from it, and then just stumbles forward with you guys. It's a much, much slower pace. Inevitably he has to ask for some water, and you guys could try to push it really hard and get to Hardglen tonight, or you can camp out for the night and probably just make it in the morning after some rest. What would you prefer to do?
I mean, this boy's got like a twisted ankle potentially. Let's just camp out.
Okay. So later... Go ahead.
I was just going to justify myself, or like reasonably, we're not going to make it without putting him on the horse. Which potentially we should do anyway, because he might not be able to walk particularly far with a swollen ankle.
So you guys end up doing the camp out. He has some water, and after a little bit of time of having some soup or whatever, he eventually gets his senses about him. One point in time, he literally like half sleeps while walking with you. And then after you guys get to the camp, before food's even ready, he passes out for like 45 minutes before kind of like waking up because the smell of the food and his hunger just like wake him up and he's able to eat. So flash forwarding into the night before, you guys actually sleep.
Can I also do a heal check on him? Just
Yeah.
to make sure if he does have a twisted ankle or anything like that.
Please, go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah. Actually, he did have a twisted ankle. He actually sprained his ankle. He rolled it pretty aggressively. So you can like get together like an appropriate type of bandaging, like an ace bandage sort of a thing, to make sure that the pressure is distributed better throughout his leg, and kind of like giving some stability right there. So you guys do take care of him. You know what I mean? So flash forward a little bit to shortly before you guys go to bed, after he's had some time to get his senses about him, and his head's still blasting with pain because unfortunately it's not like you guys get acetaminophen or anything like that. So he eventually says, I think we went about this a bit wrong. Mistakes were made on both sides. Can we agree to that? And he almost sheepishly looks over at Rayrim when he says that.
Raren like looks at him for a couple seconds and then nods, like dips his head.
I will tell you, I don't want to re-engage the argument because it's just not worth it now.
Please re-engage the argument.
Oh, that would be a bad idea.
But I did what you were talking about beforehand. I did think about it. And I came to my conclusion. And I wasn't listening to reason for counter-arguments. I'll have you know that when we talk about this again in the future, that won't happen. I'll listen to your side, and we can speak on this as mature adults and not schoolyard bullies, and be open-minded about the other's perspective. But it's not that I didn't go without thought. It's that I made my decision without your argument. You know what I mean?
In that case, Elliot, I look forward to the next time we talk about it, and the next time I have the chance to learn from you.
He's like swaying to the side.
Method acting, boys.
I think I better. Yeah.
It's a good idea for him to sleep.
He starts crawling over to the fire to curl up next to it. Probably too close to the fire, but his judgment's a bit off at the moment.
Okay, let's pull you back here.
You're no use to us if you're dead. Drink this. He's gonna pull out a potion of cure light wounds.
Okay. So you actually pull out a potion of cure light wounds before he goes to. So you just drink this. He's like, what? What is? And he like looks at it and he can smell it, and you can kind of see like a moment of recognition in his eyes, and then like grabs at it with his direction of the grab is a little off, but he gets a hold of it and he drinks it with a little bit of fervor, and you can just see the swelling in his eye immediately goes down, and his second eye finally opens. His first eye opens completely, and like the gash on the side of his head, like the whole bruising and everything around the area just starts to like heal up around it, and you can see like as he's drinking the thing, a slight smile coming across his face. It gets down that last drop and coughs a couple times. Oh God! Oh, to the gods.
A lot of notes. Like, I haven't actually had a chance to watch this happen, not in dire situation. And starts writing notes on it.
I feel a hell of a lot better. Oh, I still need sleep. Thanks. And he hands the bottle back and like realizes how close to the fire he was. Like shimmies a few feet over, and then like lies down and curls up. So
one would just say to him before he goes to sleep, he'd just kind of open his arms and say, "So clean slate," and then he just like makes a motion to include everyone.
Gives you a thumbs up. Raises his arm in the air, gives a thumbs up.
Sweet, I'm off the hook for the branding. Okay.
Oh my God, you clever bastard! you got him while he wasn't aware of what was going on.
So after you guys like spend the night or whatever, and then the next morning, you know, you awaken and are going to be able to make your way the rest of the Hardglen. Now I don't know if you remember, but that travel that you made did include a day's rest. So because your brand lasts for 2 days, excuse me, and you did it like the middle of the day, around noontime today, his brand will actually fade away. So that's probably a good thing. In the morning, you guys get ready. I imagine it's Neil that makes the food, right, Neil?
Yeah, I mean,
right, Paula?
Rayron clearly is very good with knives. And so preparing food is just easy. It's natural. He's intelligent, you know. It's good. His wisdom's high. It's perfectly spiced.
Why don't you roll me a survival check for that cook?
Oh fuck! you went a little too far.
Ah!
I was gonna say you went a little too far in the description, and you made sure he was like, "No, you're gonna roll for it," but no, fuck that, damn.
There you go. So you end up preparing like a good meal in the morning and everything, and things have certainly settled down considerably with what's his name, Elliot. So Elliot doesn't bring up the brand, doesn't bring up any of that stuff. As a matter of fact, he kind of keeps it a little bit to himself at first, probably embarrassed from what happened beforehand, and sticks to his notes. He's writing down a good portion of. So he's writing down, scribbling into one of his books with a little bit of a fervor to it. You guys eventually able to get together. You know, you're going with your morning camp duties, dropping your deuces and whatnot, and then can hit to the road. It is Elliot's horse, and so he certainly does pack his stuff into the horse and goes to mount it. So
One also mounts the horse.
It's one of those, Elliot goes to mount the horse and one climbs up on top of it. And he's like, pardon me, but this is, in fact, my horse.
You can ride bitch.
While she is certainly a brilliantly bred and well-maintained girl, I don't think that carrying both of our weight is going to be good for her. What if she stepped into a divot of the like and harmed her ankle?
I think he's calling you fat one.
He like looks over in your direction, like, dude.
Baron grins.
Baron gives Rayron a look like, oh no, this is going to be entertaining. Oh no.
One just turns, looks at him, and kind of just gives the horse a bit of a slap and starts riding off.
So with all of his belongings in the saddlebags and whatnot to the horse, you just go riding off, and he's like,
not like riding off, but I'm just.
Yeah, you guys go in the same direction. Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah. Just like, I'm now leaving. He's like, right, this is a brilliant friendship that we're forming here. And he looks down like the length of the road to Hardglen.
We could still be the slavers.
While we're walking, why don't me and Valren fill you in on the other details about these ruins? Valren here is the source.
Sounds brilliant. And he walks off, starts walking down the road with you guys. You can clearly tell, like, as the walk goes on, he's not accustomed to walking long distances, because after only a mile or so, it's one of those, like, my feet. You know what I mean? But that no more details need to be added to that. And you guys, a couple of hours later on, are going to be able to make your way to Hardglen. So none of you have been through Hardglen before, and it's the kind of like the capital area of the city. One of the important things to note is that it's actually really, really, really large. The whole area is actually probably larger than you expected, but also not as built up as a typical city or definitely capital city would be in the area. The outskirts of Hardglen are areas that clearly at one point in time were farms. At one point in time, much like you see on the outskirts of any major cities, because obviously you need immediate food to get your hands on, are farms. But the area, the plots where it very likely had farming, because you can kind of like differentiate the style of it, the way the walking paths and whatnot were formed, it's mostly weeds and whatnot that's growing there. Not weed, but weeds and whatnot that are growing there, as opposed to actual like vegetation that you would grow to eat. Crops, yes. The houses that are on the outskirts are like abused, beaten down, seemingly abandoned. And when you get past that area and get into where like the actual city starts, the outskirts of the city are actually more of like lean-tos and like shacks than they are actual buildings. And so you're going through this area, it almost looks like a whole poverty district. But from what you can tell, it's very likely just the entirety of the outer rung of the city is this like lean-to shack kind of area.
Slums.
Thank you, Neil.
I'm just teaching you English as we go.
And then when you're moving past that outer rung and get into the inner area, this is actually where you're finally starting to see like other buildings that are created. These ones are actually at one point in time were well built, but once again are just in poor maintenance, are just like poorly maintained. Wow. Apparently I can't speak. God damn it, Neil! Now you because I can't. Maintenance is not kept up. So
you broke his brain.
So when you finally get there, you can actually see that the whole area just is in disarray. And so when you're going through, the people that you had walked by when you were inside the slums area where all the lean-tos and shanties and whatnot were, those people just kind of like meandering about, seeming to have no purpose among to them. But they're all dressed normally, not like they were in just like horrible tattered rags of homeless or anything like that. They're actually just in normal peasants' clothing. The next rung in, dressed very, very similarly, but there's no shops or anything like that. This is definitely where people are living. The next rung inside of that, this is where you actually finally say, okay, this finally feels like a town or a city or whatever. Like the buildings are actually somewhat well maintained. But once again, it all looks like living space, almost like a residential zone. Everything in better repair, but no shops or anything like that there. When you finally get to the very center of the city, inside here, this is where you're finally finding like the buildings are actually, all right, two-story buildings that are much wider and broader. Everything's kept well enough. We're finally starting to see shops and taverns and so on and so forth that exist here. The people inside this area are finally a little bit better dressed. Lots of peasant clothing, whatnot going around. But that person actually has a sword strapped to their side. You know what I mean? Oh, look at that! You know, like you can actually see that these people maybe have a little bit of money or whatnot to themselves, or maybe they're adventurers passing through, as opposed to the people that typically live on the outskirts. And this is the meat of the city that you're going to be spending most of your time in. And I imagine you don't continue necessarily exploring further quite just yet. So when you first come into the city, I imagine one of the first things you're going to look for is a place to stable the horse. Though you don't have to. You can continue writing about it. There are other people writing about horses here and there. There don't seem to be any laws against it. What are you guys looking for when you first get to the city? Because it's just a city, man.
Valren's been here. He's been to the ruins here.
Have I?
This is the one that you said you felt some horrific presence, right?
No.
that was
South
one
and
slightly
east.
south.
South and east.
South.
Okay, so we don't know. Okay, cool. That's fine.
West. Southwest.
Yeah, southwest. Southwest.
No.
Yeah.
The one southeast.
No.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, southeast. Yeah.
Yeah.
Southeast. Yeah.
I need to look at the map.
Yep. I got you. Give me 2 seconds. Unless you have a map saved. I got you.
I don't.
I can do that for you right now. Hold on.
I
No,
definitely know which one we
Well, it's actually not a bad
South,
idea. It's not a bad idea for all of the viewers to see what map
refresher.
we're referring to too. So let's
Let me zoom out.
handle this right here.
Dear.
Oh, you're right. It is. Okay, I didn't realize how Gwen was over there.
Oh, I didn't realize quite how east it was. So it's just southeast. Okay.
There you go. The
Yeah.
one that's south of Hardglen.
And there's one
Oh,
in
jeez.
Hardglen.
What the heck just happened?
What?
I just popped out of
Oh no! Spoilers! Someone go back and see all the games he's got planned.
Shh!
for the
No!
future.
Definitely don't do that. Definitely don't do that. That's definitely.
Uh-oh. But yes, no, that was actually to the southeast. Yes.
Oh, God said it. Scott, professional streamer.
I actually managed to avoid this city somehow when I was heading on my way to Forvin,
This is not zooming well.
following the road that didn't exactly have a good map.
It's rather large. You know, there's actually a zoom scale on the right side, by the way.
Yeah, but it doesn't like to work. The left side one, the right side one never seem to work for me for whatever reason. It's actually very frustrating. So I have to like Alt and then use the mouse wheel. It's the only way that I can consistently zoom when I'm using the PC as opposed to my Mac. Especially on Firefox, which I have to use for displaying on stream.
Yeah.
It works better on Chrome works way better, but Chrome doesn't display on stream because of the way OBS mixes with it. So, but anyways, you guys see it.
Well, we have a couple choices. We have. What time of day is it?
So you guys are finally rolling into town. It's going to be. Oh crap! This is actually going to cause issues over here too, isn't it? So when you guys finally roll into town, it's so frustrating. When you guys finally roll into town, it's going to be a little after noon because you were still a couple hours out, which means that the mark on his face is finally faded, which is good news.
Okay. Well, we have a couple choices. We could attempt to procure a place to stay first, or we could, gesturing over to one, we could go try and find his information on his friend first. I think trying to find out where the ruins are, I believe that's something we should leave till tomorrow. Should be an all-day thing, I think.
That seems wise to me. However, it might also be worth looking for some better equipment. He looks around. Whether or not we'd find that in this town, I don't know. But he like draws just the top of the slaver's short sword, and you see there's like just a nick right at the top. Is like because they didn't really keep their equipment in good nick.
That is probably a good idea, yes. Speaking of, at some stage I should sit down and have a really good look at those items that we have yet to identify. Probably should do that at some stage tonight.
What time was it again?
So it's a little after noon.
Yeah.
Okay. One says, I'm gonna find somewhere that deals in money. I have
Sure.
a writ to cash.
Sure.
That is a good idea, yes.
Okay, so it seems like you guys are kind of going to be filtering out and going separate directions for a little while, right? Everybody has a slightly different things to work on. So why don't we just do these one at a time?
Well, let's find a place to stay so we know where to come back first.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. So you guys you look for an inn first. So if you're looking for an inn, one of the first things you're going to do is everybody kind of gets together and starts looking about for a different place for you to spend the night to rest. You can actually roll me a diplomacy check, and that would cover that for you.
Who has the best diplomacy?
I've
have an
got
8.
+8.
Fun.
You can roll
I
it.
leave it to you, sir.
Can I give you +2?
Okay. So you guys have no problem because diplomacy is gather information. I think Rayburn actually rolls slightly different for that, but that's fine. So it doesn't.
Gather information.
Yeah,
It's -1 then if it's gather information.
Okay, so 23. Perfect. So you guys go around looking for a place for you to spend the night, and you inevitably find one. So there's a few different selections. The kind of options are based off of if you want to spend a decent amount of money and what you're hoping to get out of it. If you're looking for a really nice place where there's definitely going to be like good food and good drink, you know that it's going to be safe, so on and so forth. It's a bit expensive though. It's going to cost your characters a gold piece each a night. There's definitely a place like that in the very center of town. There's an area where it's going to cost you your characters each 3 silver a night. We just call it a gold piece for the party a night. If you want to get to a spot where you're most likely going to be safe, it's kind of like for passers through. You can definitely stay there several nights in a row, no concerns. If you guys want to make it so, well, it's not if you keep track of coin, it's not worthwhile. There's places for that too, but that's going to be in like the lean-to shanty kind of area where things could happen overnight that aren't going to necessarily be good. Like, for instance, you wake up and some stuff's missing, or you know, nothing goes wrong.
It sounds to me like the best plan would be the Golden Knight for all of us. I know that's expensive, but
Yeah, no, I mean, me as a player, me as Valorant, yeah, that seems like a good idea.
So, well, is there one more that's more expensive? Is there?
No, Golden Knight was the expensive one, I thought, wasn't
no,
it?
the most expensive one was gold each.
Oh, yeah, whoops, yeah. No, the Golden Knight for the party one, yes.
Is your cat looking out a window? Just making sure, Neil. I don't know if that window's open.
Yeah,
It's open a bit, but she's not going to jump in it.
Okay. I just don't.
Make sure there's no...
Yeah, I just don't want the cat to get hurt. So you guys do the
Sorry, one would just say, when in Hardglen, and then he will say, I'll put us up in the expensive place for 5 nights.
Okay. So you're gonna do the 15 gold pieces to put yourselves inside the really nice place for a while. Perfect.
I'll pay for Elliot too.
I was kind of including him inside the
Alright, sweet.
yeah.
damn.
The really nice place?
One is paying for it.
This
Yeah.
boy's a priest.
Sweet.
So you guys end up walking into this location. So I'll actually describe this one because you chose the nicest one. When you guys go walking into it, one of the important things to note is that you're not just inside the center of the city as I was describing beforehand. You're inside the heart of the city, like the actual innermost rung of them all. Inside this area, the buildings aren't actually comprised of wood, but instead they're comprised of stone. Now the stone inside here is, or I should say, mostly comprised of stone, because there's like large chunks of buildings that were made of like old stone that sit about here and there, with wood that seals up the parts that had maybe fallen centuries beforehand and whatnot. To somebody that didn't know the area, you might just think that this was their architectural design, what they were trying to put forward as like, this is our really unique way of making the city look. It's absolutely beautiful and it's kind of awe-inspiring to see. But your characters have a lot of experience with the ruins of this area, and some of you are very educated with the peoples that lived here prior. You can tell that these are actually the ruins of an old mole keep or area. So when you go walking up to a building, you see kind of like the metal filigree that's put through the stone blocks that's put about, and then like the wood that makes up the other half of the structure and puts like the second floor onto it, and so on. Sometimes you'll see a building that's 3 stories tall because the original stone part went up almost 4 stories, so it actually became the framework that the wood built off of and, you know, made the roof for, et cetera, et cetera. It's really nice. So when you go walking into one of the buildings, the one that's going to be your where you spend the nights. This like inn is actually comprised almost completely of stone. The wood is just like the floorboards that you walk on, what it is that makes the ceiling of the first floor and the second floor, etc. When you're walking into that front room, now, as I described beforehand, you're in the spring now, like, early spring. So the mornings are a bit cold, the nights are a bit cold, but the days can be quite warm, right? When you come walking into this place, because there was still a bit of a biting air because you're inside of a city, so like the sun hasn't quite warmed up the streets yet. It's more just body heat that heats everything up. Coming to the stone room, you would expect it to be cold, but the fireplace inside there is beautiful. It's massive, and it's got a roaring fire coming from it. As soon as you walk into the place, there's a majestic carpet that's laid across the ground with a whole bunch of like artistic design inside there. There's a whole bunch of different heads of different types of beasts and animals mounted on the walls. The bar itself is of exquisite design, clearly made of whatever type of tree they had used. You're pretty sure it was one tree that they used to make the entire bar, which is not small by any stretch of the imagination. Like, the entire place inside there is just very, very exquisite. Even the people in here are a tier above anybody else you've seen out there. So people in here are all wearing very, very nice clothing. People inside here are, if they have weapons at their side and whatnot, which they mostly look like show weapons, like you can see just the size of the gem inside the pommel, the design of the actual hilt of the blade without seeing the actual blade itself. Everything about it really stands out. It's fancy schmancy. To the point where literally as soon as you walk in, somebody ends up noticing you all walking in with muddy boots, looking like crap. All of your garb is gross, and so on.
No. I would have pressed digitation
for yourself. You yourself are well kept. Okay. Everybody else, muddy boots, so on and so forth. You immediately see somebody get up and starts walking in and over towards you, and the person you see walking towards you is actually a gnome. And so the gnome walks over, the first one you guys encountering in there. So the first person that comes over towards you is a gnome. It's actually a male. Stands about 3 feet tall-ish. Also very exquisitely dressed, with lots of like purples and gold colors on them. Actually, the clothing matches very similarly to the clothing that Elliot Mann wears, though not in like designs to the point where it's like, do they know each other? Just like you can tell it's very similar kind of style of clothing. Maybe came from a similar region. Walks over to you and says, "Oh, hello. It seems as though perhaps you found yourself into the wrong location, and unless you were intending on spending the nights here."
I would reply in Gnomish, no, I don't believe so. This is actually where we intended to come stay.
Looks at you with a genuine smile on the face. Now, I have to point out that gnomes' mouths are a little bit different than maybe you're accustomed to hearing. Gnomes have very, very large mouths for the size and shape of their head. So, most of the time when they speak, their mouths look just a little bit larger than you expect. But when they smile, big toothy smiles, it comes up to a point where it's like almost threatening, almost creepy how large their mouths are. And so it turns to you and gives you this like big wide smile, and after like giving you that smile for a moment, it's like shocked and surprised, will then respond to you in Gnomish, saying, "It's a pleasure to find those that are educated in such a barren land. Here books burn and intelligence falls against stones, but to find somebody who has wraps their mind around the most elegant of languages is an honor."
It was an honor to meet you too, and glad to hear that you share my thoughts on knowledge in this place.
Elliot says indeed in Gnomish, and he like turns shocked, looking at a second person in the party that can speak Gnomish, and as he like gives Elliot just gives like a bit of a wry smile back, like, "Oh, don't worry, I got you, fam," and and to which the gnome says, so please, my apologies. Switching back to Perrin, please, my apologies. I would love to have you come in and spend the nights, but unfortunately, you're just not appropriately garbed for the scenario. Looking amongst your friends, he'll actually go over to Elliot first, drawing out a wand, with a little wave of the wand and a flick towards Elliot, you can see all of Elliot's clothes. The tears, the rips, the mud, everything on them is completely removed. Everything is brought back to its pristine and gorgeous condition that it was meant to be in. And even Elliot has a nice slight aroma that comes off of him, almost like a lavender, like he was completely bathed in oils and whatnot. Then turns over to, we'll say, Rayrin next, and does a similar thing, slight flick of the wand, and all of the armor, the clothing, everything that's on Rayrin, it just gets completely changed. So the colors of them, which were Slaver's garb, gets completely changed to the being perfectly designed as though this armor was just freshly made this morning. But the design, the pattern, everything to it to make it seem a lot more regal, a lot more respectful and respectable for him. I imagine that the color patterns are actually more of like burnt oranges and deep greens and whatnot coming off of him to complement his dark features. And then turns over to one and does a similar thing, wave of the wand and a flick. And you can actually see one's clothing starts to transform and starts to take on a similar look to the way that Rayrin's does, but something happens where the transformation starts, stops, and then starts changing in a different way. Once again, everything comes forward in a beautiful garb, as I've already said. But actually what becomes emblazoned upon the chest of the armor that's there is the sigil of his god. Literally just like forms right there. The cloak that he's wearing, as it becomes billowing out, becomes a lot more broad. So it actually drapes behind him by like a solid 6 inches to a foot behind him as he walks. Also has a sigil of his god completely emblazoned upon it, giving him a very regal and divine kind of look. And so he looks at all of you guys, and you can see that amongst each other, you're looking way better than you did moments prior. And he's like, almost. And then does the last thing to Valrin as well, and Valrin's clothes just get that much better. And he's like,
Yeah.
I imagine coming in off the road, each one of you has a bit of an empty stomach. Let's fill it with wine and food, and put a smile on your face. Please, come. We'll discuss prices.
That sounds.
One just points back at the door and says, "My horse."
Which is, of course, through the doorway. My apologies. How many horses do you have out there?
Just mine.
Just the one?
Yes.
How's Elliot looking during this?
Elliot's enjoying it. You know what I mean? He's actually he's just taking it in and whatnot. But when the whole one horse, my horse thing happens, he's like, he turns to the gnome and starts speaking to the gnome in Gnomish. In which case, for those that understand Gnomish, he says, "Pardon my friend over here. He is not exactly the. He's not exactly." My apologies. Let me actually think for a second. He's like, "Pardon my friend over here. He's relatively new to speaking the common tongue, and certainly is not as educated enough to speak something like the language that we are enjoying now. That is not, in fact, his horse. It's my horse, and I can give you more than enough evidence to prove otherwise. So please, the room that you put it in, please have it sent to my room, and I will give further details to the correct care of the horse."
Valrin would give a little chuckle.
One's not stupid. So just after he was claiming it was his horse, and this guy starts speaking in a different language, he's just gonna look over at Rayra and say, "What did he say?"
He said he likes the clothes. They're very nice. And what can I say? Apparently you can polish shit.
I need to get me one of those.
I think you're gonna have to roll a bluff to sort of on there.
Good. Can I assist his bluff? Because I was like, oh yes.
And just because
Oh no!
just because he's doing stuff as well, I have to roll this.
I just saw him roll a 2 and was like, yeah, we did it, boy. Oh fuck, right? He's observation boy.
So Elliot Mon gave you nothing that would have. He was very diplomatic to the gnome. He gave you no signs that he was necessarily doing anything wrong. You're just suspicion of your own volition. However, when Raven said that to you, I imagine there was a bit of like he finds it amusing in his tone. Kind of gives away.
Rayron, are you lying to me?
No, I'm
Valrin takes a step back.
merely.
I can see it in your tone.
I'm merely omitting the truth.
And what truth is that?
That horse isn't exactly yours.
One just starts laughing. He's like, "Yeah, you got that right."
So the gnome that's here that hasn't stated their name or anything like that yet says, "Now, please come with me. Let's get you some food in your belly and introduce you to your rooms. I do want to make you aware of certain details that exist inside of this place. For instance, the entire building is peace bonded, which means that you cannot draw your weapon without serious force of effort. And if you are to break through the spell and draw your weapon with that serious force of effort, it means that you were not just intending to draw your weapon, but you had quite the murderous intent indeed. You will find pretty much anybody that you come across to be more or less defenseless, because it's very unlikely that anybody around you will be able to defend themselves drawing their own weapons. That being said, of course, you yourself will be tried under the laws of my homeland and will be, taken back to be persecuted as such. So, to avoid any messy situations or uncomfortable living for yourself moving forward, why don't we just adhere to the policies? No weapons to be drawn for any reason whatsoever, and no violence is ever to take place any reason whatsoever. If you do have any disputes, arguments, or the like, please make sure we keep our hands to ourselves and our voices relatively quiet. You can have civil discourse without having to shout over one another. Drinking is, of course, allowed. Drinking to excess is, of course, allowed. If you are to drink to the point where you were to expel your excessive nature onto the carpet, it will, of course, be saved for you to consume again later on, because that's how we do things back in my homeland. So just make sure that you behave yourselves, because it's rather disgusting for you to share that with others. So you're going to have to enjoy it to yourself. But beyond that, the food here is wonderful. The music is wonderful. The people here are wonderful. Everything is a pleasure to see. Behave ourselves and enjoy.
Just out of interest, how did you get around such an establishment like this? Presumably one would eat with a knife and fork. How did you teach the magic what's a weapon and what's not? Anything under 3 inches of a blade?
Oh, I understand what you're saying. Crafted weapons, things that are typically sheathed and held in those are peace bonded. So you're saying, but what if I walk with a walking stick? Can I smack somebody with a walking stick? Well, that's where the second layer of spells comes in. There's actually, I don't expect you to understand magics as well as perhaps, just towards...
this all down in a book as he's going.
The whole place also acts as a sanctuary, which, once again, like I said, it takes a considerable force of will to harm somebody else. And it's very unlikely that person's going to be able to defend themselves against you. You'd be breaking through a second layer of spell to use that fork or your fist to harm somebody else. So, can it happen? Absolutely. Has it happened? Absolutely. Were they punished accordingly for it? Absolutely. Has anybody gotten away with harming somebody else without getting punishment? Absolutely not. Just don't test the rules. Enjoy your stay.
Quite impressive.
These aren't threats, I hope you understand. It's a wonderful establishment. We'd like to keep it as such. Please, your rooms are this way. And then you guys are able to see your rooms, see everything, so on and so forth. It's absolutely beautiful, so on and so forth. Like, you guys enjoy it. The beds are perfectly comfortable. The food is absolutely delicious, etc., etc., etc. Though, just to point out, sorry, 1 second, Tesh. Just to point out, everything is mundane. With the exception of the 2 magical auras that he specifically referred to, everything here is mundane. Like, it's a mundane pillow, not magical. Mundane food, not magical. Go ahead, Tesh.
As we're walking to the rooms, I would be questioning him how that affects magic, and I assume the second layer of the spell stops the magic with ill intent as well and stuff like. I'd be like having that sort of discussion with him and writing down everything as I went.
Yep, as you assumed. So your characters are able to get your rest, so on and so forth, and then from here, I imagine you want to go out and do all the wonderful things that you had discussed your characters individually wanting to do, and you had covered the cost for you guys to spend every night here, as you had said, Jake. But why don't we take our first break, and when we come back, we can go over what it is that you guys end up doing individually. because, you know, stuff. Bye.
That was a lot of finger guns.